Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to, what is it, October 3, 2025. It's the first show of the 13th season of Fishtrap Fireside. Yeah, man, I was trying to, I know. My name is Mike Midlow, and I'm the program director here. I kind of counted it up. I think we've had 170 some local Wallowa County people and regional people come up to this podium over the past 13, 12 years. That's pretty remarkable. And as long as you folks still keep coming, we'll keep putting on the show. For those who are new, I do see some new faces. This is awesome. Yeah.
Not drawing attention.
Yeah. And many of you just continue to come, and this is wonderful. And some, it's been a long time since you've been here. Fishtrap Fireside is a monthly reading series for primarily Wallowa County writers to read and share their work. Each month, we get to hear a little bit about what people living around here are thinking about and writing down. It's always a blast. Sometimes the last few years, we've extended a little bit, invited some of our good friends from neighboring Union County, and that's going to be the case tonight. I also want to make sure that all of you folks out there watching at fishtrap.org or on Fishtrap's YouTube channel, we're happy to have you here too. Thanks. Here's how Fireside works. Each month we have 3 featured writers. They get about 10 minutes to share any stories that they want to share. And then afterwards we take a little intermission where you can go back there and refill your plate. Get a drink, introduce yourself to somebody that you've never talked to before, learn their story too, and then we have an open mic section which are 5 little tasty bits, little up to 5 minutes, 5 readers up to 5. I see only one person has signed up for the open mic. Usually there's a line. So if you are inspired to tell a story or read a couple poems or make up something, tell jokes, you're welcome to sign up for the open mic. Before we get started, it's always important. Each month we have Fishtrap Fireside has a sponsor. These are folks that help provide all the treats, and it's great to partner with local organizations. Fishtrap has been, our good friends at the Book Loft are the sponsors tonight. Yeah. So next time you go to the store and get your favorite book or a cup of coffee, tell Becky or Katie or whoever's working there, thanks for sponsoring Fireside. Okay, let's get to our first reader. I'm pretty excited about this. Last year, this person got up and read at the open mic, and it was one of my favorite readings of all time. And so I invited her back to be a featured reader. So let's learn about Trilby Helen Shirley. Yeah. Trilby Helen Shirley was orphaned twice by age 12. She was also adopted twice, once as a 2-year-old and again when she was 71. Do yourself a favor and Google Trilby Shirley adoption and read what the Yakima Herald had to say about it. I did, and it's a great story. Trilby grew up in Washington State and worked as a clerical typist immediately upon graduating high school back in 1959. At that time, her name wasn't Trilby. She was known as Helen, a name she never felt was her. While go-go dancing in San Francisco in the 1960s, she legally changed her name to Trilby, keeping Helen as a middle name. She worked most of her life as a judicial assistant to several judges in Alaska and Oregon. Trilby and her husband, Rich, moved to Wallowa in 2004. Trilby worked in the office at the Enterprise Mental Health Clinic. Rich played stand-up bass and sang with several local musical groups here until his passing in 2021. Miss Rich. Trilby continues to be active with the annual Music Hootenanny fundraiser for Wallowa Music Alliance and is a member of Fishtrap, thanks, and the Oddfellows Lodge. Please give it up for Trilby Shirley.
Good evening, Fishtrap. Thank you for this opportunity to read at Fireside this evening. And thanks to all you fish trappers present and those out in YouTube land for your support. We are all books. Take the time to open those you meet and hear their stories. Some pages might be stuck together, but if you carefully pry them apart, those pages, you may hear something wondrous. I'll be reading a little bit condensed, of course, for this, from a book I will finish one day. It's called Angels Don't Get Thirsty. It is a title, it's not what the title would imply. It's not about alcohol addiction. It's about the fabric of my life, the people, places, events, experiences, and even the fabric of my clothes that have woven what you see here, the tapestry before you. This segment is called The Peppermint Dress. The Peppermint Dress. I was 8 months old when the chief of police of Kashmir, Washington, dug me up in his backyard. It was the spring of 1942, and he was digging fence post holes for a victory garden. He carried me into the kitchen and said to his wife, "Look what I dug up." "Oh, John, can I keep her?" she exclaimed, never missing a beat. Her brother's outside, out back. He was carrying her down the alley. John Nugent said. We got to talking, and he said the mother's sick. They live down in that shack down a ways. Well, that was all it took for my life to just turn on a dime. Emma, superstitious to the core, believed in providence, and she believed that she'd been given the baby that she had longed for, her own having died in childbirth. Emma began visiting our dismal household, caring for my mother and me best she could. She found my mother nearly unconscious one day, and I'd been covered up with an oilskin tablecloth to keep the leaky roof rain off. Well, that was it for her. She moved us into her home, leaving my father and my 12-year-old brother to fend for themselves. There was little contact with them after that. I wore the peppermint dress to my mother's funeral in August the following summer. Maddie, only in her 30s, had died of a lung ailment, what was called abscess lungs, possibly caused from DDT from working in the orchards, picking fruit. John and Emma were already in their 50s, but they were allowed to adopt me because that's what my mother had wished. My father was no doubt relieved. My brother then ran away to my grandmother, our maternal grandmother, in North Carolina. My father left the area and was later killed in a car wreck in California, an incident I happened to hear on the radio on Christmas Day when I was 8 years old. So I became the daughter of the chief of police, John Nugent, and his wife, Emma. I was embraced by Emma's many brothers and sisters that lived in the area, and knowing I had been adopted, she always told me that from day one, I felt special and loved for several years. During this time, I would often pull the peppermint dress out of my play box, my dress-up play box. And Emma would always recount that it was the dress I'd worn to my mother's funeral. It had thin red and white stripes of some floaty cotton fabric that I believe was called lawn in those days. It was a loose smock with short puffy sleeves, and a tiny blue sailboat was embroidered on the bodice. From a distance, the thin stripes made it look pink. Sometimes I'd slip my skinny arms into it and wear it backwards and pretend I was an artist. My idyllic childhood ended abruptly at age 12 when John and Emma both died of heart attacks within a year of each other. Originally, their will indicated I was to go live with my beloved Aunt Lottie in case of their deaths. How Emma had a falling out with my Aunt Lottie, and she changed the guardianship. I then endured 2 dismal guardianships through junior high and high school. I graduated on a Thursday from Bothell High, and at age 17, I went to work the following Monday typing policies in Seattle for an insurance company. My guardian at the time, Emma's half-sister, had agreed that I could move out if she approved, and I'd set up that I rented a room from my pastor and his wife, and so she had to approve. I spent a lot of time at the home of a high school friend during this time, and her mother, Marion, became my advocate and friend. She and her husband, Clyde, were car people, and I had bought a 41 Hudson. However, my aunt, or my guardian, refused to sign for me to get a driver's license. Well, the Joneses offered to take the guardianship because they were car people and they couldn't stand the thought I couldn't drive that Hudson. At that time in Washington State, the court, you were required to have a legal guardian until you were 21. Hopefully that's not still the case. And so the wheel of fortune once again had turned in my favor. I was absorbed by this family and stayed in contact with them through the years. In 2013, while visiting Marion, by then widowed, she had asked me to sign some papers, and I was surprised to see that they were adoption papers. Who are you adopting? You, she said. We should have done it a long time ago. She was 92 and I was 71. She was determined, though, and so after checking with her daughter, Georgia, my high school friend, and the 2 boys, the 2 brothers, Bob and Dee, I was thrilled to officially be accepted into this caring family. We celebrated the event that summer in Marion's home in Yakima. The Yakima Herald sent a reporter and a photographer, and it was the cover story of the B section in the Sunday paper the next day. So you can Google, as Mike said, Trilby Shirley's adoption to read more about that. Although Google has the town wrong, they put Spokane and it's Yakima. You can't trust it, you know. Anyway, orphaned twice, I was also lovingly adopted twice. And I've had a blessed life, some bumpy teenage years, but I survived and experienced unconditional love, and I'm grateful for it all, even the bumpy years, because you learn a lot. Now, when in a vintage shop or in a thrift store, I still search for a thin red and white striped cotton fabric that looks like peppermint candy close up, but appears pink from a distance, and that it could float through the air like a fluffy pink cloud. Thank you.
Thank you, Trilby. Come on in, everybody. All right. Well, this evening is the first event in Fishtrap's 2025-26 season of programming. I just want to tell you a couple things that are coming up that I'm pretty excited about. This coming Monday online is an introduction to playwriting with E.M. Lewis. Ellen is a great friend of Fishtrap. You might remember a couple years ago, she was our writer-in-residence, worked a lot in the schools, put on some plays. This is a 4-week online class that you can attend from anywhere. So if you've ever had an itch to write a play or a TV script or a movie or something like this is a great, easy introduction and way to get into it. Again, it starts on Monday. you sign up at fishtrap.org. Speaking of films, in November, our very own Jennifer Hobbs is leading an in-person workshop right here at Fishtrap called Creating Satisfying, Effective Short Films and Slideshows. Fun. It starts November 6th, so save your spot today. There are many more ways for you to express your creative selves. People of all experiences, people of all interests, ages, orientations. Fishtrap is a place where you can come and tell your story. Check out all the classes that we're offering this season at fishtrap.org. Worked hard. Some are here at Fishtrap, many are online. Okay, our next featured reader is maybe one of the greatest examples of a Fishtrap fan that I can think of. Eliot Treichel, we first met him, it was 2015 maybe, as a Fishtrap fellow at Summer Fishtrap. Since then, he's attended Winter Fishtrap, Outpost on the Snake River. He's taught workshops through our Big Read program. He taught at Summer Fishtrap a couple years ago. He's an English professor at EOU, and just this week he signed up for an online workshop. So this is a lifelong learner and a great friend of Fishtrap, so you're really going to enjoy this. Eliot Treichel is a writer, trail runner, and river rat. His work includes the young adult novel A Series of Small Maneuvers and the story collection Close is Fine. A past Fishtrap Fellow, he's also the recipient of the Reading the West Award, the Oregon Book Awards Reader Choice Award, and the Wisconsin Library Association Literary Award. Originally from Scotty, Wisconsin, he now lives in LeGrand, Oregon, where he is an assistant professor of English writing at Eastern Oregon University. Please give a Wallowa County welcome to Eliot Treichel.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Mike, for that very generous introduction. I was going to say that I just signed up for a thing, but you told everyone, so. It is really wonderful to be here with you all. I am always so humbled and honored and happy to be invited to participate in the programming at Fishtrap, and tonight is no exception. I am going to kind of jump right into things because I want to try and honor the time constraint. I'm going to read what is the opening to a real work in progress. This piece has no title. It certainly has no ending. I'm not sure where it's headed, if it wants to be a short story or maybe even perhaps a novella. It kind of depends how much Jim Harrison I'm reading at the time. But quickly, as Mike said, I am an assistant professor at EOU, and I do want to take a moment to thank them publicly for awarding me some faculty scholarship funds, which gave me some time over the summer to get some writing and curriculum work done, including some efforts on the story. So thank you, EOU, whoever was in charge of that. There is really no background info you need for this piece. There are a couple of section breaks, and I'll just kind of try to indicate those by a bit of a pause. The girl presented the ducklings to Sheriff Rawls in a cardboard to-go box with ragged ventilation holes punched through the sides. The box had the same handles and gable top as the ones that Van Abel served their 10-piece chicken combo in, a detail Sheriff found about right. Better to hold it from the bottom, the girl said. She wore a blue handkerchief headband and a few beads in her hair, the cuffs of her muddy overalls tucked into shit-splattered mud boots. They slide around, so try to keep it level. Sheriff carefully held the box at arm's length, as if it contained a bomb, rather than 6 heritage ducklings all peeping away. He'd done his homework, but now he wasn't so sure this wasn't all a terrible mistake. The ducks had been his wife's idea. Judith would add them to her garden for insect control and free fertilizer. Sheriff kept remembering how he'd responded, saying it'd be better to just get chickens. He hadn't meant anything by it, and she didn't say anything back, but he saw how his words had landed, how it took a little out of her, how it maybe even made her feel a little dumb. He should have apologized right then when he had a chance, but he didn't, and now here he was. I'm sorry to be late, Sheriff said. He'd gotten lost on the way to the breeders, the map he'd scribbled onto the back of a junk mail envelope, somehow missing a crucial left turn. He turned around several times searching for his lost road, but there were also several times when he U-turned and considered just going home. Each time he considered it, a sense of pointlessness overwhelmed him, knowing that if he in fact did head home, he would only turn around again, and then again, and then again, and if he didn't finally go pick up these damn ducks, he would be spinning in a circle forever. I meant to get here earlier, he explained. Technically, I'm supposed to charge you a late fee because you were meant to be here the day before yesterday, but then you called and came today. The girl paused, and Sheriff got the sense she was waiting for him to say yes. This was true. He was supposed to have come 2 days ago, and that he did call and say he needed to reschedule. That little hesitation, her deferring, it was something he might have pressed when he was still working. It's only that sometimes people don't pick them up at all, she said. That's why we started charging. It's not so bad if it's 1 day. More than a day, Sheriff said. It's $60, she countered. Sheriff had talked to the girl on the phone. It was she who'd given him directions. He'd pictured someone older, someone his own daughter's age, a default setting, he supposed, but this girl wasn't much older than his grandniece off at WSU, studying something or other, he forgot. I understand, Sheriff said, whatever you'd like to do. It was the kind of sentence that would have sounded a whole lot different if he was in uniform. Who was he kidding with that? Every sentence sounded different. She seemed to be weighing it. The girl looked toward the farmhouse, its windows curtained and closed up, a stenciled sign reading Nell's Family Hatchery hanging from the front porch. Her jaw was set when she turned back around. Okay. She took the hood of her sweatshirt and wiped her nose. I'll do half. Give me $30. Sheriff appreciated the spunk of it, the demand of give me. That was his daughter. He told her she had a deal and nodded toward his truck. The ducklings scurried in the box, and Sheriff held tighter. Checkbook is in the console. The girl pulled a dirty phone from her overalls. We can do digital, too. Prefer the check if that's okay. Do you want to see them? She asked, her voice rising. She took a step toward the box in the sheriff's hands, wanting to take a picture for their socials. They're so cute right now. You're going to love them. It was the same thing Judith had said when he'd wondered again, why not chickens? His wife had said it like it wasn't even a choice. Don't be silly, Jim. You're going to love them. The girl cautiously opened the carrier, peeking inside. Look, she whispered. Sheriff pulled his truck over several times to check on the ducklings, less out of worry than befuddlement. He couldn't believe how much they chirped, how they never ever weren't chirping, and how when he looked inside the box, they only chirped more insistently. He thought they'd get sleepy at some point, the way puppies played themselves to exhaustion and conked out. But these were not puppies, the kind of companion he knew. These were tiny baby ducks. He shook his head at how stubborn he'd been in thinking this would be better. The ducklings all looked quite similar, though they were different breeds. Black Runner, Campbell, and Kona, little fluff balls of yellow, a few with dark splotches on their heads or wings, tiny black eyes that seemed enormous with innocence. They pressed themselves into a corner of the box, jumbled on top of one another, and when they were done with that corner, they would move to another and scramble on top of each other again. Sheriff didn't know if ducks had a pecking order like chickens did, or if they were ruled by something else, but he noted what seemed to be the runt, always on the bottom of the pile, the only one not peeping. He reached in and shooed the others away, but as soon as he lifted his hand, the others frenzied right back, stepping all over Pee-wee. You're going to have to fight a heck of a lot harder than that, he said, nudging the others away again. Spread those elbows. The pile reformed. Sheriff knew it was all nature and instinct, beyond the magic of a good pep talk. Runt would be the runt. He lightly closed the box and gulped down his cold coffee. He shook out the styrofoam cup, trying to dry it, then finally wiping it clean with his shirt tail. Sheriff scooped the runt into his palm and lifted his other hand over the top. As best as he could, he tried to guide the duckling into the cup rather than drop it, but he wasn't sure. Felt like a lot of thud for a smooth landing. The duckling turned its eyes up at him. It didn't have a lot of room, but enough. Was it smirking at him? Sheriff thought it might be smirking. I don't know, he said. This is probably a better ride for you. The duck nibbled at the styrofoam a few times, but then stopped and sank down into itself, melting into the cup. It was almost like a dog curling up for a nap. Not really, but almost. Well, there you go, Sheriff said. When he got home, Sheriff brought the runt into the kitchen and then went back out and retrieved the others. He'd already constructed a brooding pen for them right there in the corner of the dining room. He'd made it out of a stock tank and a heating lamp, same way they did the pens for the spring chicks at Farm and Fleet. Sheriff transferred the ducklings to the pen, but left the runt in the cup for the moment. It seemed happy there, or if not happy, something close to it, like the feeling of being left alone. He dragged over a kitchen chair, and with the runt in his lap, he watched the ducklings scurry and peep around the pen. He adjusted the heating lamp so it faced more directly into the enclosure, remembering from his 4-H days how it was cold that most often got baby poultry. Slowly, the ducklings began to quiet. They settled across the pen, singly and in clusters, the wood shavings already made into a mess. He sat watching until the light outside faded and the kitchen grew dark. Charlie, the yard cat, leapt onto the back deck and sauntered over to the sliding door, bumping his head against the glass and meowing, ready for dinner. Sheriff apologized, explaining to the cat that he couldn't come inside anymore, not even for a little bit. It felt something like the time he'd told Renee she was going to be a big sister, this news about how things were going to be different because someone was joining the family, and Sheriff tried staying in the memory he'd found, stayed with it as long as he could until it succumbed like everything always did, and all he could think about then was the news of things being different because someone had left. Charlie meowed and rammed his head into the door again, insisting. Lord Jesus, Sheriff said. Fine. Hold on. Sheriff brought the runt outside with him and poured some kibble into Charlie's dish. After, he crossed the yard and showed the runt the old shed he converted into the duck house, Charlie following right behind. So I guess you weren't hungry then. Sheriff had worked on the shed for more than a month, extending a level of craftsmanship he normally wouldn't have, though it wouldn't have been sloppy work either. He'd made it so the ducks could move freely between inside or outside, safely enclosed in fencing. There was a kiddie pool for them to swim in, thick bedding for them to lay. He transferred them out there when they were 6 weeks old, maybe 8, grow them into beautiful birds, beautiful varieties that needed to be made common again, and he'd collect their eggs and sell them at a roadside stand or give them away for free to the neighbors, which was Judith's plan. He'd do all this, was doing all this, and none of it would take the pain away. He understood that already. She'd wanted the shed painted yellow, lemon yellow, so that's what he did. He tried talking her out of it, saying it would be too cheery, but she was right. Sheriff asked the runt what it thought, but it didn't say anything. Too cheery, his wife had scoffed. What's that? All right, thank you.
Thanks, Eliot. Okay, I've got a couple more things I want to share with you. I'm not going to wear you out, but it's important to tell you a couple more things that are coming up at Fishtrap. We put together a really cool schedule of events this coming season. In 2 weeks from tonight, The Oregon Book Award Author Tour is coming here. 3 people who were either nominated for the Oregon Book Award or won it this past year coming. It's a free event. It'll be in 2 weeks from tonight. Same sort of schedule as this. January, well, there's a lot going on in the fall. I'm not going to go through it all, but in January, a couple of our big programs are coming up. January is our Fishtrap Reads Month. The goal here is to inspire everybody to read a book together as a community and to talk about it. You might know or remember it as being called the Big Read, the NEA Big Read. Well, with the evaporation of federal funding and kind of the murky, questionable agreements we have to make to accept federal funding, Fishtrap as an organization, the board, and the executive part have agreed not to take federal funding. And that has to do with our value statement, which you can read on Fishtrap's website. It's kind of bold, but we're sticking with that. Thanks. Yeah, I thank the board and our executive director, Shannon McNerney, for leading that effort. But that's not going to make things easier. It's going to make things harder. We'll have less funds to create the same amount of things. So we'll be looking to you folks to pitch in a little bit in any way you can, time, resources, all of that. So this January is Fishtrap Reads. And the book this year, we're jacked about it. It's called The Bear by Andrew Krivik. It's a fable. It's about a 12-year-old girl who finds herself alone in the wilderness, and how she uses the skills she learned from her father to survive. It's a story about. I think it's really going to resonate with the people of Lau County, the resourcefulness of people here who take pride in making and using their own things. So the Bear's coming up in January. I hope you join in. I'll have more on that next month. The other thing I wanted to say quickly, thanks for listening to this. Next year, is the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and there are going to be celebrations and acknowledgments going on all around the country. And Fishtrap, in that spirit, is also going to acknowledge these stories and the USA and the independence with both Winter Fishtrap in February and Summer Fishtrap in June. I want to read something next week, maybe as early as next week. You're going to get a brochure in the mail showing our upcoming things. But Shannon, I hope you don't mind if I read this little blurb that you wrote that'll show up in your mailbox soon. On Our American Story. Our individual roots and lived experience as Americans are as diverse and complex as the landscapes and communities that make up this place. In 2026, Winter Fishtrap and Summer Fishtrap will provide opportunities for each of us to explore our individual histories and understandings of what it means to be American. While listening to and learning from the experiences of others, together we'll begin to uncover our rich, inclusive, collective American story. So I think that's going to provide a lot of opportunities for each of us to tell our own stories and learn others. So lots of listening. If you would like to support that notion, if you like programs like Fishtrap Fireside and Fishtrap Reads and Winter Fishtrap and all of that, we always encourage you on your way out to throw some money in the beautiful Steve Arment carved fish. And a lot of people say, I don't carry cash. Well, now we have a QR code. Is that what a QR code? You can just put your telephone up there and it'll bring you right to our donation page and throw a little bit in there. We want to make it easy for you. Thanks. Okay, let's get to our third reader. Our third reader is no stranger to Fishtrap Fireside. She read during the first season back in 2013 and has several times since. I always really look forward to this. Ready, set, here we go. Zanni Schauffler is mainly a poet, but she also... Yeah, she is. But she also writes prose and does all sorts of visual art. Zanni has won an Oregon Literary Fellowship and some other nice awards, too. And she's proud of the places where she's published her poems. She's working on completing her second book of poetry and is also working on a book of prose about how she ended up here in Wallowa County. and why she stayed and continues to stay so long. She lives in Enterprise with her husband Frank, their big dog, and their 2 big cats. Please welcome Zanni Schauffler.
Hi. This is my first year with readers. Thank you so much, Trilby. I met Trilby about 18 years ago, probably trying to help me figure out how to pay my bill at Mental Health or Center for Wellness when I was having trouble paying it. And I've adored her ever since. And thank you, Eliot. That was awesome. A new friend. Mike touched on this, but I want to say it anyway. I want to thank the Fishtrap staff and the Fishtrap board for everything they do, but especially to thank them for their bravery right now in this year and in this moment. In the past, it's a very, very special thing to get grants from the NEA, and it's difficult. But the NEA is currently saying that in order to defend women, it's going to exclude other groups of people. I think that's cruel and unjust to the people it excludes, and I don't think it has anything to do with defending women, and I fear for what it means for women down the line. Fishtrap saw that its mission didn't align with the NEA's new grant review process, and so they declined their significant monetary award. That's brave. I thank you for it, and I hope it will help me be brave too. I'm going to read 4 poems. This one's called Integer. I wrote it last week. I always thought I'd live in an old house, something like the Kaplans, you know, a small craftsman, one that was something a regular person could buy. Do you remember Jonah, their dog? Sweet, but he had that ailment where all the hair fell out on his butt, and there were sores. I imagined a house like that. Square, tiny backyard, clothesline, scary little shed. I could walk down to the public pool with a towel over my shoulder. It's weird I live here now, with no swimming pool in sight for so many miles. I have a dog, but his fur is curly and voluminous, and I'm alone most of the time. The word integrity comes from the Latin for integer, meaning simply whole. And I must be missing a limb or an organ or a soul or a spirit, but I don't know which one. So I walk the long gravel roads by myself, trying to find it. Or maybe just a swimming pool. But what if it isn't here? Or what if it's no place at all? Something unget-backable that went missing in me a long time ago. And my other poems are epistles, which are letter poems. And they're all addressed to the same person, Rue, who is my best friend since I was 5 years old. And they're signed off by me, Maisie, and I will have to tell you about the nicknames later. That is for another time. Dear Rue, it's strange I call the dog that found you Dave, the name of my now 9 years dead human father. My dad's disappearance continues to be the ubiquitous abstract print of the 1980s. Triangle, overlapping circle, overlapping square, magenta, yellow, cyan. and I can't even start to understand the meaning. There is something in the way your dog's eyes pull down at the corners. There is something. My dad is a white pit bull mix who wandered confusedly a stretch of highway in central Texas. But that you saved him makes as much sense as anything can, as saving him is saving me, the thing you always do. I'm so glad you brought him home. But my God, it's strange to send my father a purple fuzzy ball in the mail and those antlers to chew on. A present from me to your new pet. I'm glad he likes them though. Until now, I've had absolutely no idea where to reach him. Love, Maisie. Dear Rue, my poetry books are laid out, stacked in stacks. I have not tended them in so long. Things have accumulated, you know, in the way they can, or maybe not for you. They are not sacred anyway, my books. I've tried to make them so, failed. The way I've tried to care which way the toilet paper roll goes on the spindle. I've weighed in on the subject, put some energy into fighting for both sides. Turns out, I just want the toilet paper. I just want all my books. In some ways, I'm not particular. But sometimes I get feelings about things. Like lately, there's this pair of regular pink underwear. I'm starting to have feelings about it. I take them from the drawer. I put them on the dresser. I look at them from the side sometimes, but I can't seem to wear them. There's nothing wrong with them, but I become concerned. No matter how many gallons of water it took to manufacture them, I'm gonna have to throw them away. They don't belong to me. I have to get them out of the house. Love, Maisie. I don't know if this is a poem. I wrote it a few days ago, and after I sent it, I realized I don't know if I wrote this to this specific person or to the whole world, or if it was a catharsis for me. But then I decided maybe I wrote it for all of you, and so I am reading it to you. There's someone in it with the name Mary, and it is not a Mary from Wallowa County. It is a different Mary. Dear Rue, I didn't know how to write you a birthday card, these being the days of shooting and people shooting back. And it's hard to figure out what to do with the fear. So lately, I just find a really long hill and walk up it. Mary told me about a man who hurt so badly in his jaw that he walked to the top of a mountain and screamed wildly for a long time. When he came down again, he was healed. I have not yet found my own way of healing. And I just didn't know how to write you a birthday card. But then I read in the paper that for the first time in a century, the citizens of Chicago had swum their river. Carefully, over many years, they'd ministered to the fouled water as you would a sick friend or child. And so last Sunday, hundreds of them donned wetsuits and orange floats and jumped in, the skyscrapers making a dark corridor, but the floats bobbing above them like lanterns in the dark. They swam their city, a celebration of tenderness, patience, maybe hope. They showed it in aerial shots. These little shapes moving through the artery of the Midwestern city where my dad was born. It was a basic happiness for me to see that people fix the dirty messes they make of their rivers and then throw their bodies in to celebrate. There are good things. I forget to look at them. You are one of the very good, best things I've got. Love, Maisie. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, contribute to Fishtrap. They're being brave. Try to let's all be brave together. It's easier that way. Shannon told me that. Thank you.
You thought you'd get away without seeing me, didn't you? Ha ha. Hi, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Shannon McNerney, and I'm the executive director of this marvelous place. And I have a reason I'm supposed to be up here to talk, but I wanted to say something. You all are brave too. And I want to start out by saying that you can have a writer that can make you care about baby ducks that don't exist. Is anybody else in here worried that the baby duck was not going to make it to the end of the story? And oh my God, Eliot, if you kill the baby duck, I'm going to find you later. And you find somebody who talks about pink peppermint and reminds us that we're all books. I'm going to carry that image with me and probably steal it. But I'll credit Trilby forever that we're all books. And Zanni reminding us that in the midst of everything that's scary and dark, that hope is still there. That's why we do this work. And I can't believe I'm emotional, but there it is. Because what I thought is, Mike talked about our decision to pick our American story as our theme. And the reason for that is because stories are tapestries. Our history, our community is a tapestry of experiences that we all have. And only by coming together and sharing those experiences does it matter at all. There's not one story. There's not one truth. There's not one right. There's a multitude of all of this together. And this is why us coming together for firesides or for events or to teach each other how to listen better, because we each have something that everybody else needs to hear. That's why this work is important. That's why we do this. You're why it makes it an honor to be here. And I want to thank you for each of you for being part of this. So, wow, thank you. But that's not why I'm here. I'm going to talk about the open mics. Reminding every year we do open mic section at the end of the readings, and you each get 5 minutes to read. And we talk about this all the time. But what I wanted to remind folks today is that this is your chance to practice both your opportunity to get up and talk about and write your story and be heard, but also for all the rest of us to practice listening, because I think that's something we've all gotten a little bit lazy at. I know I have. So with all of that, there's a little piece of paper up there that talks about how to do an open mic and what you need to do, and there's all sorts of rules and regulations, and our friend Jennifer's going to host those this year. But I did want to say a couple things about why there's a time limit. One of them is so that you don't have to worry about filling a 10-minute gap, but the other is to respect your audience. And our audience will listen to you more intently if they think you're going to stop. True? Yeah. Starting to worry about me right now, aren't you? Yeah, okay. The other thing is that, as Mike pointed out, Trilby is one of the writers that have come out of open mics. There are a lot of the 170 featured fireside readers. Many, many, many of them come out of these open mic sessions, and it's your opportunity to practice. But it's also your opportunity to be brave, to stand up here and tell your story. So think about it, read the little piece of paper. If you want to meet me over there and talk to me about what it takes to do an open mic, I'm happy to do that. In between firesides, if you ever want to call up and say, can I practice with you, I'm happy to do that. We are going to be a little stickier this year about if you've read at one open mic, don't sign up for the next one the next week, because again, people are going to stare at you and they're going to talk about you at Safeway, so don't do that. And to our audience at home, we don't record these for lots of reasons and mostly to protect our writers, but come and see us here and check it out. So anyway, with that, sign up for an open mic, go get yourself a little drink. We'll be back here in about probably 10 minutes and we'll start the open mic section. So thank you very much.